Welcome to my Hebrew channel, Miel, and I'm looking at Psalm 145, verse 9. It's the Tet, and it's a very interesting letter. And of course, it's as we well know by now, it's in Psalm 145 is an acrostic. In other words, each letter, Aleph, Bet, Gimel, etc., begins a distinct Hebrew letter begins each verse. So we're up to the Tet, and Tet. There are two words or two consonants in Hebrew that have the T sound, okay? Tet and Tau. So Tet comes somewhere in the middle and Tau comes at the end. In the original form, there was some relationship or there was some similarity, but of course the letters diverged in terms of how they're used. The Tet has no syntactical function. In other words, when you see a Tet, it's root. When you see a Tau, Tau can often do a lot of things. It'll be the construct ending, can be prefixed on verbs, etc. So there's a lot of things that Tau can do. The other thing that I've over time I've discovered is that the Tet and the Tau are some of the very few letters that can go all the way down to the very base root of any kind of the Tet will do it with the Nata or the T, and the Tau will do it with a Natan. So in other words, there are cases where just one letter survives in the root. So you go, wow, that's it can make it difficult for others who are looking for it. So it is possible to find the Tet all the way down a very small word, and Natan, same thing. So those are two characteristics that the T in Hebrew shares. Maybe it's getting a little too esoteric here, but anyway, that's what happens with the Tet. And Tov Yehovah lekol ve'rachamav al kol ma'ashav. Good, okay, very good. Tov is a very well-known word. It's a very popular word, even today. Two Jewish or Hebrew-speaking people are talking to each other. If the guy who's agreeing, he's just going to keep saying Tov, 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 Tov. Okay, so it's a well-known word. It's a well-known word throughout the Hebrew language. So Tov, good. It's very good. Tov, very good is Tov Meod. So Tov, Yehovah. Jehovah is good. Here's another one of these verses that does not really contain any kind of verb. We understand the is here is good and is on all, but that's the way Hebrew works. It doesn't really have to have a verb designating existence. Well, it has a verb that designates existence, yesh, but it doesn't have to include it in its writings. So it's understood. Okay, Tov Yehovah lekol. Good is Jehovah to all, to everyone, and they have kol. Okay, this one's a kol with a holam, and this is a kol with a kamas hatuv. Pronounced the same way, but this one's the pronunciation is designated with the holam. Here it's with a kamas hatuv. I didn't purposely put them on top of each other, but that's how it worked out. Anyway, the tov is the way it's written right now. It is written with a circular motion, and then a little lip comes on in, and this is a flat piece, and then this thing comes around the top here. This is the Tet then. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, Isaiah scroll, this is the form of the letter. Went around again the same very distinctive thing that went into the middle of it. We can see, and then pre-exilic, and this does vary out a little bit, but generally, sometimes, often the circle is completely encircled, but there's a little cross or a little cross mark in the middle, and this is the suggestion that it's supposed to be like a basket or something like that. I prefer just saying it's a mark. It's just a little cross mark, and this is where the Tet and the Tau do share some common history. The Tau is also marked with a cross mark. The Tet is marked with a cross mark, but has a circle around it. So in some ways, the idea was to take a tau and strengthen it up to a tet. So in other words, this is a tet is a tau on steroids, I'd say, on a little stronger. And when we look back all the way to the Proto-Sinaitic, we have the circle, okay? And then we have the mark over here. So it's that one separated out the two portions of what was understood to be part of the tet. A mark, okay, a little cross mark, and then the tau or the circle around it. So yeah, getting back to the whole matter of what would be the very root meaning of tet, it's that mark, something you put your finger on, something you mark, okay, something a mark that's made. And so that's you could say remarkable, okay, take note of it, put a mark on it. And incidentally, also in tet, when you have the sense of the verbal sense of this particular letter, it goes to yit. That's the and leaning over to pay attention to. So Jehovah pays attention to us. When he pays attention to us, he leans over and he puts he inclines his the little phrase known as he inclines his ear to us. Yet he inclines his ear to us. So he leans over, pays attention to who we are. So when the Lord inclines himself to us, he's using a tet to describe that action of the Lord paying attention to us. So I take it as a mark, okay, something that's notable, something that we take a good look at. Okay, so it's notable. So when you see the tet, the tet, think of it as something that we must take note of. So tov, and we take note of then. Jehovah, lekol, to all, to everyone. Jehovah is good. This is a characteristic of Jehovah. He's good in who he is, what he is, and so it's an attribute of God. I think it's one of those attributes that he shares with his creation. So the things of his creation are good as well. In fact, we're going to look at when we first see this in Genesis. It's right there in Genesis 1. Vayireh Elohim kitov, and God saw that it was good. So each phase of creation had an indication that it was good. It's good. It's good. It's good. In fact, this is the last verse here of Genesis 1, and it's it covers the whole everything that's been made in creation. And so the Lord looked at all this, and it was good. So Tov Yehovah, lekol, to all, ve rachamav, and his compassion. Racham, we've seen this in the previous verse. And we saw there Hanun ve'rachamun. Racham is what's in our insides, that which we feel passion about, we feel strongly. It grips us from the inside out. Rachamav, his compassion, in the Greek would be splagid. So Al-Kol, to all, Ma'ashav, to all he has made, okay, all of the things of his creation, all of the things that we enjoy even to this day, the sunshine, the fresh air, all of these good things. His compassion is all he has made. This compassion, of course, extends to us. So, and we saw that in the previous verse as well. So there's a lot of parallelism between this verse and the previous one, which began with Chet and Hanun, and now we're on to Tet. I mentioned that there's a very close relationship with Tov, in the Genesis chapter 1. We see this here. This is the concluding verse of Genesis 1. Vayireh Elohim et kol asher asa vehine tov meod. And God saw all that which he had made, and behold, it was very good. Tov meod. This is in the sense of tov, so tov meod, very good. So there's something to be said here about how God makes his creation. In the world today, there is a sense of, the true scientist who's an atheist, who doesn't confirm or doesn't believe in the existence of God. That's going to be pure science. He's got the ability to do better science. Not really. For someone who believes in the existence of God and also has this sense of that whatever is being studied in nature, whatever stars, sun, moon, gravity, physical forces, all kinds of things, those things are the creation of God, and God has made them good. When we look through the creation narrative, everything's but yet Elohim kitov, and God saw that was good, and God saw it was good, and God saw it was good. That phrase is repeated all the way through. It's affirmed every time, which means that when we do a study of creation of God's works that we see all around us, we're seeing something God has made for us, and we have profound confidence that that's a good thing. And so when we do discoveries, scientific discoveries, genetics, geology, whatever, all these kinds of stuff that we can be involved in, we're studying something God has made, and it is good. Now, we're going to have to take some care here because sin has come into the world, and so, there will be evil things in the world derived from sin. What humankind has done, mankind has done, is with the sin that's come into the world. Yes, there are now pain and suffering. There is disease. There's death and suffering. These things have come derived from the fact that man has fallen, and so, but the root is still there. The creation that God has made for us is at its root good, tov. And when we study it, we're going to find something good, and we're going to find something really that describes God. And so we enter into scientific investigation, we enter into the study of the world around us, into creation, with the confidence that we're going to find something that God has made that's good for us. And so it gives us a lot of confidence, a lot of trust as to the scientific work we are doing, knowing that we are looking at something that God has made. And it's also atheists will say, oh yeah, everything's just going to fall apart and everything's going to go to pieces and so forth. It's a whole sense of things will constantly be destroying themselves. The flip side of that is, if we're looking into something God has made, we're also looking at something that God has taken care of. In other words, His providence is still there. In other words, when we study something, it doesn't mean it's going to be destroying itself or falling apart or something. God is holding it together. In fact, many of the physical laws, the gravity and electromagnetic attraction, so forth, all those things God has placed in place to hold things together. And so when we are doing scientific study, we're not going to be looking at something that will just self-destruct eventually. We're looking at something that God holds in place. So those are things, that meditations that we can derive from the word tov. Tov Jehovah, God, Jehovah is good. His creation is good. It's begun good. There's certainly been impacted by sin, but at its root, God's creation is good, and we can investigate it with a lot of confidence, knowing that the things we will discover will also demonstrate the goodness of God to us. So may God bless, may God strengthen you in this day, and may you dedicate your life to a God who is Jehovah, who is good. God bless you in this day.